optimal health, financial freedom, finding your life purpose. It's called The Simple Life. I'm just doing it my way.
Welcome to The Simple Life with Gary Collins, your how-to guide for getting your shit together.
This is life. You gotta work on all these till the day you die. The only thing missing is you getting off your butt and doing it.
Hey, Jorge, thanks for coming on. We've been meaning to do this for a while, and it's taken a little time. I had to build this studio and do a bunch of other things, get back to interviews, which I've gotten back into. But we're in the new year, so it's a good time to jump into health because everyone loves doing, their New Year's resolutions, which I think are stupid. I think you should, any self-improvement you do in life, you should do right now, not wait till the first of the year to do them. But tell a little bit about what you do, your background, so people know who you are.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me on, Gary. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about what naturopathic medicine is. So naturopathic medicine is basically a form of medicine that emphasizes on the well-being of the being, right? So you want to have support for a system, right? Rather than attack something, right? So kind of the things that I wanted to talk about before we get into the subtle differences is kind of this, how did we get to this medicine, right? So, through our evolutionary process, we've kind of like adapted to or kind of grown comfortable with this idea of survival, right? So this is not my idea. This is something that's been said many of times where, we're hunter gatherers and we're out there trying to survive. And so, if there's a tiger, we're going to attack it. We're going to kill it. We're going to get it out of our way. So that way my family can survive, my family's family can survive, and so on and so on. And so we've kind of developed this, I think, is generalized idea of kind of like, and where everything that poses some kind of threat to us is kind of like, we fight against this anti this, right? And it's kind of permeated everything in our society, right? And specifically in medicine, you have anti-inflammatories, antivirals, antibiotics. So we have this underlying philosophy, I would say, of everything that poses a threat to us, let's fight it and get rid of it. And and we've kind of, like I said, we treat other countries the same way. We treat our environment the same way. So in essence, naturopathic medicine in a philosophical perspective or point of view is getting back into the nourishment, right? Mm-hmm. Support, right? That aspect of nature that is not all death and doom and gloom, right? And where systems work together and ecosystems form and supports all sorts of living organisms in a harmonious way, right? So there are both examples of those things in nature, obviously, but I feel like there's always a balance that we got to play. I'm not saying that having an antibiotic is a bad thing or antiviral is a bad thing. Obviously, in some situations are necessary, but I feel like an overemphasis on these kinds of, or this type of philosophy kind of leads us away from an idea of balance, right?
Yeah.
So when we're looking at something as simple as diabetes, right? Most people say this is a random occurrence, it's a threat. We got to throw these, glucose modulators and bring back the glucose back into to normal range, right? So a naturopath will look at it different, and depends obviously how far off you are. Sometimes you're so far gone and your glucose levels are so high that you need to monitor these things. So we have or manage these things. And so we have these kinds of medicines that help you to do that. Otherwise, you have the death of the system. But in a way, the humans, in their bodies have a way to, in itself, create like an ecosystem. So we have all these bells and whistles and built into our bodies that allow us to normalize these sugars at the cost of other things, right? So what a naturopath does is in a way, try to get at these bells and whistles and feed the body what it needs and get rid of the things that it's causing this disharmony. So we nourish the body in a certain way, and and allow for the body to control itself on its own, right?
Yeah.
And some of these strategies may include exercise, depending on the individual and if it's possible. And like I said before, is some of these things may include, medication. So as far as integrative medicine, I would say that the most important thing to remember, and when you're looking for a practitioner, is a practitioner that's looking to nourish your system, to bring you back into balance, to make you the best version of who you are, right?
Yeah,
and
because we all have our limitations. That's what people need to know health-wise. I mean,
Right.
We're all different. We're all unique.
Yeah, and so with the new advances of science, I mean, you have all sorts of tools available to optimize human health. Even people who are healthy are looking to into longevity and the different markers and what to look for and things like that. So, there's always a way to nourish the system and improve the system in a not so threatening way, and where you're getting rid of stuff, like combating everything, right? So, and I like to say that some of these things kind of are straight across the board for all naturopaths, but just like medical doctors and doctors of osteopathy and naturopathic doctors, there's all sorts of personalities, and certain people use this philosophy and some people don't.
Well, and that's what we were talking prior to recording. Most people don't understand the difference that there are three different primary doctors: a DO, osteopathic doctor, an ND, naturopathic doctor, and a medical doctor, MD. But you guys all go to the same medical schools. I mean, it's not like, you know what I mean? There are some special schools for NDs here and there, but it's all medical school. You
Right.
take all the same tests, you go through all the same boards. It's the same. And I had found that some people, because DOs tend to be on a little bit more of the touchy-feely side, is a better way to put it. You know what I mean? Because they'll do more of some are into touch healing. And you gotta be careful with some of that stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah.
There's a purpose. There's a reason for that. So basically, chiropractors and doctor of osteopathy were once one, right? And so, like NDs, there's many philosophies and many ideas. And so there's I don't know the specifics, but I would like to say that there's a branch of the chiropractor and doctor of osteopathy that decided that they wanted to do more spinal manipulation, and they didn't want to really get into the medications and kind of the modern day stuff that doctors of osteopathy do. And so the chiropractors went straight into the a manipulation to relieve the any kind of decompensation of the nervous system and whatnot. And doctors of osteopathy still manipulate, so they'll get manipulation, adjustment, and things like that. But they also do some nutrition, and they'll do some of the what people term alternative, which I don't really necessarily think of it as alternative. I think of it as just medicine.
Yeah,
good medicine. But and then within the school of doctor of osteopathy and the manipulation, you have a variation of that as well. And some people just don't do manipulation, don't do any of the nutrition. They go straight into the medicines and things like that. And so you have a variety of individuals within that field, but they respond to the medical doctors board as well, like the American Medical Association and things like that. So, and I don't know the specifics really, so I'm not an expert on that, but I know that they are regulated by the same governing bodies that the medical doctors are as well.
Yeah, and you can find them in the same offices. That's the thing I've seen. Right. I've been to many offices where there's an ND, DO, MD, all there. They're all there, and you can, and they're integrative. They're technically integrative practices. Some are hospitals. There's some big conglomerates now that are integrative, call themselves integrative. What I like about it is you can go in and pick and choose kind of what you're looking for. The problem is the average American, they don't know what they're looking for. So that's why I like doing these episodes to educate people, that integrative is a blending of natural medicine with modern medicine as far as cutting edge. You blend them together. I've always said, if I need nutritional advice, I'm going to go to an ND, usually, but I'm not going to go to a DO to do brain surgery. there's specialties. You have to figure and blend them through. And that's what I like about integrative is you take the cutting edge science with the traditional science that's been proven forever, and you work them together. That's the best part. Surgeries have come a long way, right? There's so many aspects to it that it gets complicated, and most people need to look at doctors as the last resort, not the first resort. Could you talk about that?
Well, first, I'd like to say that, within this integrative thing, like I mentioned before, the most important thing is the philosophy. And that leads into, taking preventative means,
Yeah.
It really is about supporting the system. So finding a good integrative practitioners, whether it be a conglomerate or individual, it depends on their philosophy and how they're going to manage your health, or help you manage your health, I would say more. So I would say that, most individuals partake in what we call the SAD diet. Are you familiar with SAD diets?
Yep, sure.
Standard American diets are basically an idea or a staple of foods that Americans have partook in for so long, that have created these kind of, what I would say in general, inflammatory mess, right? So right now the United States is in an inflammatory mess. And so, when you get something like COVID that creates havoc as far as inflammation in your lungs and where else, people who already are in that elevated inflammatory markers they're going to be even worse. And so, and that's the idea that we're eating too many sugars, too many saturated fats, and fats are kind of like one of those things that you can have a whole podcast in its own. So I'm not going to speak.
Oh, I've done it. Trust me.
Yeah. So cholesterol and fats, there are healthy fats and there are unhealthy fats.
I don't know if you know Dr. Dr. Kate Shanahan. She's been on before.
Oh, okay.
A couple of times. Yeah. Really well-known author. Yeah. She talks about oils and we get into saturated, monosaturated, polyunsaturated fats. Perfect. And the differences in the oils you use and how you cook with them and all that. So yeah. So for people, go back and look at those if you want to, but they say we can ingest too many saturated fats, but truly what we ingest is too many polyunsaturated fats, which are blends of plant oils and fats that have been highly manipulated in a sense of, and also processed, that make them hydrogenated because they're very unstable.
Right. And then there's this hydrogenated oils and this new idea of rancidity. And then also denaturing oils when frying. So you have, these unsaturated fats or polyunsaturated fats that are normally healthy, and we
make them unhealthy. We're good at that in America. We're really good at making food unhealthy. That's one of our specialties, matter of fact.
Yeah, absolutely.